Hello friends, welcome back to Feni-for-the-Soul. Today, yet another author. I'm bringing you face to face with yet another author. This time it's Gurcharan Das. Now Gurcharan Das has been, he was former managing director of Procter and Gamble worldwide. So he's been a corporate guru, esteemed author, regular newspaper columnist. He wrote this wonderful book called India Unbound in the year 2000. And it's still very, very valid, this book. In his interview to Feni-for-the-Soul, he said how India has missed the Industrial Revolution completely. According to him, we have gone from the Green Revolution directly to the IT Revolution. And having missed the manufacturing revolution, he says that's the reason for lack of jobs and mass unemployment. Sit back and listen to him. So, good evening, Mr. Das. So happy to, catch you in your den, so to say, in your, Goa home for this interview on Feni-for-the-Soul. So, you said in your talk at the ICG in Goa that we missed the manufacturing bus completely. India missed the manufacturing bus, and we should have been a far greater industrialized nation now than we are. So, what do you want to say about that? Because that's a direct cause of unemployment today.
Correct. So now it's 30 years later after the 1991 reforms.
Yeah.
India has risen as a result. Our growth rate had been 3.5. It's gone up to 6.5 average for the last 30 years. And 450 million people have risen out of poverty. And the population below the poverty line is almost negligible today, whereas it was as much as 50% earlier. But the failure of the last 30 years has been that we still have not created an industrial revolution. All the countries that went from poverty to prosperity in the last 200 years went from agriculture, where they created an agricultural surplus, a green revolution, which led then to a factory stage, a manufacturing, industrial revolution. And the next was the IT or knowledge revolution, digital revolution.
That's right.
We jumped from an agricultural revolution, green revolution, to an IT stage, and we seem to have skipped the industrial revolution. This is why 45% of Indians today are stuck in agriculture, when agriculture needs only 1/3 of those people in redundant jobs.
Yeah.
And manufacturing employs less than 11% of the people.
Yeah.
And the story of success was built on the export of labor-intensive manufacturers. India's share of manufactured exports is less than 2% of global trade in those products. So that's that is the symbol of our failure. And so now, frankly, I in my book India Unbound, I had predicted that we would rise, but I never thought that we would do it quite in this way. And certainly we should be proud of our agricultural surplus. We were a basket case in the 1960s, importing food. Today we are the 4th largest exporter in the world. We are a leader in the IT business in the world, and we should be proud of that. But we should also recognize why we failed. And why did we fail?
Yeah. So that's where I wanted to ask you, what do you think what corrective measures should India be taking to get manufacturing back on rail?
Well, it comes of now creating that industrial revolution. We have still not missed the bus, but it will be tougher, particularly with AI coming in and robotics coming in. But we have a window. We have a window of what is called, we are still a young country, meaning the demographic dividend can still be enjoyed by us. And secondly, we have a much better infrastructure than we had then. The hurdles that we have got to cross are the fact that we are still the most over-regulated country in the world. When we became, in 91, when we deregulated and we got economic freedom, we still did not change the millions of laws that we had put in place. The compliance burden was still continued, and the attitude of the bureaucracy. Now you see, when China has done a much better job than us, and the reason it has done a better job is because it changed the incentive system of the bureaucracy. We still continued with the colonial bureaucracy. The colonial bureaucracy gets, in a colonial bureaucracy, it's law and order that is important. How that your citizen is, you are the ruler and the citizen is the governed. And your job is not to lift up the governed, but your job is to keep the peace. So any ideas, because the development state after 91 put so much burden, there were so many compliances, and the bureaucracy got brownie points by saying no, nahi, instead of haan. And so in China, the bureaucracy was rewarded for bringing in investment to your district or to your city. And there are stories that the mayor of the city would go to the airport to pick up an entrepreneur as flight, to meet the flight. Back. And what I was saying was that unlike China, India did not reform its bureaucracy. In fact, part of the problem is not just economic reform. India still needs to do what I would call governance reforms. And the rise of India in the last 25, 30 years has been despite the state and not because of the state. It's a story of private success and public failure. And I wrote another book called India Grows at Night. The original title was India Grows at Night When the Government Sleeps. But my publishers thought it a bit rude, and so they left it at India Grows at Night. But it was a story of the kind of reforms we need to do. For example, why should it take 15 years for a person to get justice in the courts? Why should a bureaucrat who works 14 hours a day and keeps the country and is effective and keeps the country afloat, why should he get promoted on the same day as his batchmate who works only 2 hours a day and is a time server? What kind of organizational incentive are you giving for doing good in the system? In the same way, bureaucrats, the police, why should I, at this point in my life, when I'm a privileged person in the country, be afraid to go near a police station? Why should the police chief be a handmaiden of the chief minister? And similarly, Parliament, why should 1 out of 3, 1 out of 4 legislators and MPs or MLAs have a criminal record? So these are the reforms we also need to do. But the real question now is labor. We have an unemployment problem. The 2024 election flagged it, and that's why the government today is more serious. The other side is the push that has come from Mr. Trump, who has not done well for our country, but he has done us a favor in reminding us that we were the king of tariffs. The king of tariffs, by the way, is an insult. I mean, it's to be king of tariffs means that we are protectionist, and protection harms you. It shows a lack of confidence in your own companies and so on. So now I think we are on, having had a digital revolution with GST, with better logistics, better infrastructure, I think we are poised to do better, and I wouldn't be surprised that even if we grow today, our per capita income is $3,000 a year. By 2047, Mr. Modi would like us to be over 14,000, which would make us developed. But I would say 6.5, if we can take it to 7.5, we'll go up to $12,000. That will be home free. Middle class, which is 30% today, will go up to 60% at that rate. So that will be victory. And it's possible, and a quick fix is that quickly, as it were, we should pluck the low-hanging fruit of reform. One is to deregulate, and they have set up already 3 commissions in Delhi to do the deregulation, and I hope they'll create a bonfire of these silly rules. You know, a small pharmaceutical company, and because we are in Goa, there are a number of these here in Goa. A small pharmaceutical company has to bear every year 965 compliances, of which 444 are jailable. In other words, they are criminalized, and a poor fellow spends 14 to 17 lakhs a year to meet this compliance burden, and that is still our biggest enemy. However, other reforms also are possible, and I'll just give you one last example, which is that a model that's been now created in India, which is the iPhone. 2 years ago, less than 1% of the iPhones were made in India. Today, 30% of the iPhones are made in India, and they have created 2 lakh jobs. 70% are women. These are direct jobs, but each job is created 4 indirect jobs. So we're talking about 6-7 lakh jobs have been created, and these are village girls who are mostly involved in the assembly of the iPhone. Now, the iPhone came to India because the company Apple was trying to de-risk all the 100% iPhones are made in China, and China is in serious trouble, and so they wanted another manufacturing destination. Their natural instinct would have been to go to Vietnam. All the investment now is going to Vietnam. It's not coming to India, of the multinational companies in China who are creating a second base of manufacturing. And when the Prime Minister of Vietnam heard that they had lost the iPhone to India, he took a plane and got on and flew to Cupertino, California, which is the headquarters of Apple. And he convinced the CEO of Apple, he said, look, we have lost the iPhone to India, but give us the tablet, give us the iPad. And he got it. Now this is how the chief ministers of all our states have to behave. They have to go to the brand leaders of all the labor-intensive products, clothing, shoes, companies like Nike, etc., food processing, toys, all these are labor-intensive. They employ a lot of people. And they should go and do what the Prime Minister of Vietnam did. Yeah. This is how the Chinese behaved.
Yeah.
That's why they got the investment.
True.
And here in India, our bureaucrats sit on the high chair. And I asked one day to one bureaucrat, how did we get the iPhone in India? He said, I gave them permission. That's how we behave.
True.
So
that has to change.
So that, I think, the attitudinal changes, the reform in the bureaucracy, all the things that I've spoken about. But I believe India can do it. And the PLI can be used for a very positive way to neutralize our disabilities, because we are cost uncompetitive in certain areas, and use it in that way to woo. We have to actually go and woo the brand leaders. There's no single Indian brand in the world market. You see?
Yeah.
And only if you have global competition come into India will Indian companies have a hope and chance to compete.
Yeah.
Only through competition do you become stronger. You put money in R&D, you build a better product. That's the way to go forward.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Mr. Das, for spending time on Feni for the Soul. Thank you so much.